Alright guys, this is Frank the Tank, and I decided I'd do something a little different today. Well, not different as far as what game, because I mostly do Arma. But I notice I'm introducing a few new people into Arma in my clan, and people are becoming interested in Arma where they never really heard of it or cared about it before. So what I decided to do is make a couple tips in this starter tip video. Now this isn't a complete beginner set of tips. They're more like things that beginners or novices might have missed or might not realize or might not know. So yeah, I'm going to go through some tips that you might not have known and will help make your game work better for you and help you perform better at the game and just generally feel more comfortable. So let's get into these 10 tips that I hope help you out. Number one, and I can't stress this enough, and people might struggle to learn it. By default, you can dynamically change your stances by holding down Control and then any movement key you want. Now, what this means is if you hold down Control and then press D or right, you'll do a step lean to the right. You press left, you'll center it again. Left while you're centered, and you'll do this lean. Now, I may have showed this off in some older videos, but pressing up and down while holding control. Sorry, I might say space because that's what I bound it to, but by default it is to left control. So up will increase your stance incrementally, not just the three stances, prone, crouch, and stand. So here's high stand, medium stand, low stand, and then every stance, crouch and prone as well, has a high, low, and medium version. Now I can't stress enough how important this is because it allows you to take cover behind pretty much any object of any height. So let's just see, for instance, here. Imagine, if you will, that this is a solid object down here, that it's bulletproof. Alright? Right now I'm crouched. I'm not actually protected. I'm crouched, I'm exposed. Now I could shoot, but I'm also exposed. So if there are guys around here, they'd be able to hit me right now. Now, you would be limited to the slower animation to get down and prone in a normal game, or if you didn't use dynamic stances, and you'd have to do the animation again to pop up and fire. This is going to give you a large delay between when you could fire and when you expose yourself, which is never good in firefight. If you use dynamic stance, let's just say I'm here, right? And let's say I want to take cover and fire and take cover, just rapidly take pot shots and hop into cover. I can hold down the dynamic stance button while I'm in this cover, tap down. Okay, want to hide. Alright, guys there. Pop up. Pop down. Let's see. There's an important one, too. Now, I'm in the normal crouch stance. I want to hit that guy there, as indicated by the crosshair and the impact there. My muzzle's not clear. So instead of having to go all the way up and stand up, same thing, slower animation to transition, and also you expose a shit ton of yourself, you can just go up to high crouch and just expose a little bit more of yourself, but have the ability to engage. Then you'll drop down twice. If you want to get low like before. See? Now I don't have to stand up completely to get my muzzle clear. And also, you can just double tap it. Alright, so that's pretty important. Now, like I mentioned, you could also step lean. And there's the standard lean that everyone's aware of. If you double tap on the lean buttons, Q or E, it'll lock it in place. Now, you can use both leans in tandem. So let's say you want to go around this corner here. You want to remain high on the cover, so high up the wall. And you want to minimize how much you expose. Now, if I want to attack here, and I do this, alright, the entirety of my body is sticking out, from my head to my toe. Now, it might not be my entire body, but it's a sliver of it. Now, I can minimize that if, say, I lean this way, and then do it. See? That's much less of my body. That's basically from my armpit up, and then just a sliver. And I could still engage around corners. And if I need to adjust, I can just move. You know, normal move while not holding down anything. So, you can expose less of yourself. If I do this, you know, just this lean here. See, it's my left leg, my entire left side, basically, is exposed. Versus just my left upper quadrant if I do this lean as well. So now this is incredibly important. Forgive me, I'm getting used to a new mouse, so I don't shoot as good as I normally do. I do miss my Death Adder, but it died on me. I broke out this old Microsoft Sidewinder. And you pop out. And then once again, if you keep it leaned, alright, if you want to reset, right, let's say you're holding down Q to lean. Alright, there you go. Then you have to do that and then lean again. And then you have to let go and then do that. There's two actions. So if you want to get out, you let go of Q, then you have to control right. It's not as good. You toggle lean, all you have to do is control left, control right. Control left, control right. And you can control your exposure. And that is really important in combat. On top of that, there's one thing that I never like to count out. Well, two more things I never like to count out with dynamic stances. If you use a control, you know, hold down control and then directional key. If you're on your belly, there you press down, there's this little animation here. You can't really aim down the sights. For shooting under cars, basically, and really buildings that are just slightly raised up. But most important is if you hold down control and then left or right while prone. You can do this little sniper right here. And when you're stuck pinned down behind a very low rock or, you know, very small, low cover, this is a great way to pop in and out. Now, it's not quite as fast as before, but you're on your belly, so you're always going to be limited. But I don't know how many times I've beaten players in PvP situations because they just didn't expect this. You know, they expect me to have to roll out and then be disoriented for a second. But instead, I can just do that. So that's very useful. And that's a big... mastering the use of that, you know, just for regular combat is really going to help up your game and minimize how much you expose yourself, which is extremely important in real combat and, you know, in this game, which isn't perfectly real, but whatever. It's also really good for looking in deep corners. So like, let's say I have to go like this, and then, you know, there's some collision issues because your gun has physical collision. Lean, it's a slow, gradual thing. If you just want to pop into a deep corner of a door, it's easier to use a step lean. So what? And then lean. It's really good for entering doors. Alright, that's a big first tip, but that's my first tip. This next tip is extremely good for marksmanship accuracy and just having good situational awareness, being able to zoom and check things out in the distance without tiring yourself out. Now, what I mean tiring yourself out? By default, with the control scheme in Arma, if you hold down right mouse button as opposed to click it, you'll just zoom. You tap it, you'll go into iron sights, and then with non-magnified sights like red dots or iron sights, you can hold it down while you have your sights up and zoom in more. But by default, when you hold down this button, it doesn't just zoom in, it holds your breath automatically. And I'm going to hold my breath right now. If you hold it too long, your guy will run out of breath and the gun will become much less stable. See? Now, it's kind of not good because I'm standing still and I'm not moving and I'm crouched, but it becomes less stable. It's especially noticeable with, yeah, see the scope's much more noticeable at a distance. He's wobbling as opposed to being steady because I hold my breath. Now, if you just want to zoom in to check things out and aren't about to fire, it's a waste of your stamina to hold your breath. So what I recommend is you separate the two. Zoom and hold breath is one bind. You can unbind it from that and then just bind them separately. Bind, hold down right mouse button to just zoom, and then something else to hold breath. My setup is I unbound left control from the normal dynamic stance thing. I have space, do dynamic stance. And then I make control, just hold breath. Then I make just right mouse, holding right mouse, zoom in without holding breath. So I can move around, zoom in at will very quickly with an accessible button without holding my breath. And then if I aim and I want to get extra stability, I hold down control while aiming. See that? It got much more stable for that split second. And you basically hold your breath before you fire like you would in a real marksman situation. Alright, and I'll show you exactly how to do this. You go to Options, Controls, and you go to Weapons. Where is it exactly? Hold breath here. It's going to be under right mouse. You want to unbind right mouse from that, or second mouse button as it's set here. All right. So it'll be by default optics. Then it'll be zoom. Under view here, it'll be, where is it? Zoom temporary. Yeah. So right mouse will be all three of these things. Zoom temporary. Optics for just tapping it, not holding it. Then holding it will be hold breath as well. Unbind it from hold breath. Make hold breath left control, and you're good to go. Now you can you could bring up your optics, zoom in a bit more, and hold your breath, all with separate functions. It's not very difficult or clunky, and it allows you to just, scan and increase your situational awareness. Oh, I see movement up on the hill. Let me get some extra clarity. Okay, there's no guy there. It's just a glitch or something, or it's a goat. Fucking, you just have extra situational awareness. This is really good for minimizing how much stamina you use by holding your breath unnecessarily, and therefore frees you up to just zoom around whenever you want. That's how I play. I'm like, I do the wide look here when I find something of interest that I'm not sure is that an enemy right there? Zoom in. Oh, yep. It's a dangerous piece of metal that's rotating. All right. So that's my second tip. It's a big one. That's really going to help your ability to fight at medium and long range while still being stable, and it allows you to just scan with more freedom. I can zoom in, because you might, if you know you're holding your breath by default, you might not zoom in long enough to really figure out what's going on because you're afraid of running out of breath. That fixes all these problems. This one's good for prospective DLC buyers. So people thinking about buying the DLC for Arma 3. You can try out every piece of weaponry and every vehicle and every piece of clothing from any of the DLCs for free in this virtual arsenal here, which I'll show you again how to get to it. In this new Apex main menu, you would go up to the tutorial section, virtual arsenal. From here, you'll be able to access. So I have the DLC, so there's really no way I can prove it to you, but you can double check it. It's absolutely true. Let's say you don't have Apex and you want to try this SPAR-16 rifle. You can select it here, use it like a normal virtual arsenal, press try, and test the gun out. It would be just as uninhibited as I'm using it right now. There wouldn't be any little pop-up to say, buy now! There wouldn't be any restrictions or anything. You can just completely test the DLC equipment, essentially, without any hindrances. So you could say, I wonder if the new guns in Apex and vehicles are worth it. I can't really test the map, but I wonder if it's worth it. You could do that too. The Marksman DLC, which is, some people think it's hard sell because it's just guns. You can say, well, are these guns really fucking badass enough to be worth shelling money out for? I think so. But then again, I'm a really huge fan of this game, so maybe it's biased. But you could see for yourself. You could try out the guns, and see if it's worth your money before you use it. Alright, sticking around here in the virtual arsenal, I can show you the next one. If you notice that little icon of a man at the top right of the screen, you get near something, right? There's a box icon, and then there's a bipod icon that appear. The bipod icon means that you can press C to lock yourself into the bipod mode, which, sticks you to the cover. And that gives you a lot of stability and recoil compensation because you're mounted up. If you have a bipod equipped on the gun, it gives you even more stability. But to be a little quicker and a little easier, if you just have the box icon, that means even though you're not stuck, you do still get some stability and recoil benefits. It's called passive weapon resting. So even if you don't want to lock in to a position, you want to try and find that little white box near the top right of your guy, and it'll show you, the height of the obstacle and how high you would mount your bipod if you were to use it. And it works at any stance. Of course, there's nothing here that I could mount prone, but when you see the bipod icon, you are still getting the passive benefit. Then if you press tab or C as the default and lock in, you get even more. So basically, you just still want to be near trees and walls when you're firing with your gun, so you do get additional stability, even if you don't like locking into the bipod and don't have a bipod. This will really help you with medium and long range combat. Again, close range, you can help a bit, but it'll really come into play at those good distances when you want to be stable, and when you're using larger bursts, light machine guns, things that have more recoil and are heavier, and therefore, they sway more. But it's really going to help to maximize it by doing these things quickly, because it's quicker than locking in with the bipod. You just aim and make sure you're hugging the wall, and you get an added benefit. Besides just exposing less of yourself, you do get an added stability and recoil reduction buff. Alright, in Arma 3, you might not always have a vehicle, and at some point, you're undoubtedly going to have to travel a decent distance on foot. One thing you have to worry about with that is stamina. If you're sprinting a long distance, you'll drain your stamina, shown by the bar underneath where it says RGO grenade on the top right. Yellow means I'm very rapidly burning through stamina. If that bar completely empties and the bar shortens and widens according to how much weight, less weight means a wider bar, longer time you could do anything intensive. Inclines, going uphill, will also burn it quicker. The best combination of speed, because you don't want to just walk super slow a long distance, I understand that, but the best combination of speed and minimal stamina reduction is not this. It's not weapon up combat pace. You double tap control, lower your gun, and this speed. Now you could go into walk mode, a walk version of this, and that'll really burn it, but slowly, but it's very slow. If you go into the jog version of this, this is the best combination of stamina consumption and speed that you can get for a long distance. It's the closest thing to, it's essentially just a march, a standard military march, and if you need to go a long distance, it's very good. As you can see out there, the bar is very slowly depleting. This is also good. You might use this for short distance travel if you have a very heavy load, like let's say you have a rocket launcher and a bunch of ammo, or a bunch of explosives, or a heavy sniper rifle, or an LMG gunner with a shit ton of ammo on you. This is going to be your preferred movement method when you're not directly in danger. I always recommend when you're in combat, enemies are able to shoot you, that you at least do the have some form of weapon up. That's just general common sense, but not everyone understands basic tactics because not everyone's a military buff like me. So yeah, that's really going to help you minimize the chance of you getting caught with your dick down and your stamina low and you're huffing and puffing, your gun shaking everywhere, but also allow you to get to places, without taking a super long time. Alright, so I'm about to do a firing drill here, and the next thing I'm going to show you is that inside of 25 yards, basically indoor kind of range, that kind of distance, the key to Arma 3, and a lot of the very realistic tactical games like Squad or even Red Orchestra, the key to mastering close combat is to go against the kind of instinct that you've been beaten in your head by playing games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, where you always aim down the sight as much as possible, no matter what. In real-life tactical situations, there's something known as point shooting, which is where you keep the gun up at your shoulder, but you don't aim down the sight. You just kind of point it off your shoulder quickly. You don't have to line up the sights. It saves you time. This is what's used in extremely close quarters, and it's the fastest way to get accurate, relatively accurate hits at close quarters. That's what you want to do in Arma, with or without a crosshair. And I've been using a crosshair simply because it helps you tell when your muzzle is blocked by something. But to just show that I'm not just cheesing out and using the crosshair, and being, just a cheeky cunt that way. Well, you're just a noob using a crosshair. I'll turn it off for this and demonstrate still how effective point shooting is in close quarters. I'm going to do this firing drill real quick a little bit, and I'll try and mix in more lean capabilities as well. Let me just see, when's this shit gonna start? So you don't always want to do this. 2, 1, let's do it, bruh. Go! You see, I'm nailing these guys pretty much dead center. Good aim. See? Check targets. Now, that even wasn't that fast. But imagine if I had to bring up the sights, even a red dot sight. It's going to be slower. Let's say I hit that bonus extra accuracy thing even quicker. Oh, no, I shot a civilian. I'm a terrible person. I haven't done these in forever. Oh, hold on. That was relatively fast, actually. Moving up. On here. I'm stuck in this fucking thing. So you want to get really precise there and hit that tiny little target. There's no time, so I aim down the sights. That's pretty much the only time you want to do that. So, and it works for full auto as well. As you can see, I did that at the range a couple times in that other jungle area, that little Tanoa range I set up. I did it there too. See, that was relatively quick reaction time, you know. Yep, I got a little bit, and even works with pistols. Even in that scenario, I did it real quick and dirty. I'll do it with the pistol for a little bit. I'll do the first couple targets, but basically, you want to get good at this. Now, with the crosshair, you have to take into account as well when you spray or fire very rapidly. The crosshair won't be exactly where the bullet's gonna go. It'll go up, sometimes shoot high of the crosshair. So with a lot of machine guns, it goes high and to the right. So you know you want to put your crosshair sometimes low left of your target when you're spraying a big burst, and you'll be able to hit them. And so the crosshair is kind of, even when you have the crosshair on, it's still just a general reference point. It's not an instant accurate, you know, from the shoulder. So you have to understand too, this is not, when they call it hip fire, it's not really hip fire. You're shooting it from the shoulder, just not aiming down the sight, which is just as stable as when you aim down the sights. It's just, you know, you don't have as good of a point of reference. But in extremely close range, you still have a fantastic point of reference. So it is preferred. It's very useful. And I like to have the crosshair on because it'll get closer to you if your muzzle's blocked. So it's good for telling when some of the iffy, some of the iffier collision detection on some of the objects gets in the way of your muzzle. You can know without having to fire a shot that goes right into the wall. So let me just do this real quick with the pistol. I'll show you that it's just as viable. 2, 1. Well, I have the crosshair on, but you get it. And also, like I said, combining those two leans, I'm combining tilt and step lean. It's at the point now where it's actually in close range. It's more awkward for me to aim down the sights. Ooh, that was nice. I don't know what I'm doing here. See? Even with the pistol, it's effective. So that's my tip here. Is you want to master firing out of sights for really close combat to get shots on target as quickly as possible and as many as possible. You want to get used to how the crosshair is when you're firing large bursts, and if you don't have the crosshair on or you play without it, get used to where the center of the screen is, and just the recoil. It's not a pattern like Counter-Strike, it's more realistic. The recoil path of the gun is where the bullets go as there's more and more recoil applied. Once you've learned to do that, you'll be much better at close quarters combat than just constantly jamming your eye in the red dot anytime you want to shoot. It's not appropriate in truly realistic games, and kind of Call of Duty and Battlefield are wrong on that point. It's not bad necessarily, because they're not trying to be realistic, whatever the gameplay wants to be, but it's not realistic and doesn't apply to a realistic game like this, or Squad. So it's something you want to get better at, is firing, point shooting. Next is something, you know, I'm not an Arma god, I don't know everything. There's some fairly obvious things that even I don't know for a while, and one thing I just recently learned is whenever I find a gun, you know, on a dead enemy, or just drop to the ground here, and I want to get the attachments on it, what I always thought you had to do was just a limitation of the Arma game, is you had to pick up the gun, drop your old gun, take the attachments off, put them in your inventory, then pick up the old gun, and then go back in your inventory and put the attachments on. This, thanks to my friend DCMakAttack, is not the case. Just like you double-click on vests and uniforms to look at what's inside them when they're on the enemy here in this left screen, you could double-click on an enemy's rifle and then see just the attachments. And then without having to pick his gun up and drop yours, you can drag him from here onto your gun. And that's a very small thing, but it really saves time and just keeps you from having to tangle with the relatively clunky inventory system more than you have to. So yeah, that's once again, a lot of these tips are small, but they really do help. It'll help you be less confused by inventory and just get what you need quicker and in a less annoying and more satisfying way. Another tip is really important, because sometimes it just feels unfair, or you feel hopeless when you're fighting against an MRAP like this Ifrit, and you don't have a grenade launcher or a rocket launcher, or, you know, don't really have a lot of hand grenades, and even then, hand grenades are pretty hard to fucking use to kill these things. What you can do is, what you might not know is, let's see, we'll go into this turret right here. Let's see. Perfectly functioning. You can aim anywhere you want. Let's, you know, if this is AI or an enemy inside this gun, he'd be able to kick your ass. Alright? So you get out. Oh, I don't have a rocket launcher. I don't have a grenade launcher. I guess I'm fucked. I'm gonna have to run, retreat. There's absolutely nothing I can do. And if I'm pinned down and can't leave, then I'm just dead. You're still kind of fucked. The odds are not in your favor, but you do have an option. Medium caliber bullets like this 6.5 or even 5.56 with enough rounds, or anything higher, can disable these turrets. That might have been overkill, and maybe I'm wrong about which caliber will do this, but that should have done something to the gunner. Yep. See, I hit it enough times. It can still technically fire, but it can't aim up. It's stuck at the very lowest vector. So if you get really close to the sides and you're in the exact wrong position, they could kill you, but they're pretty much disabled. And you basically, at any kind of range, they can't hurt you. It's now an unarmed vehicle, essentially. So, you know, you're not hopeless against them. And typically, with the AI, if you were to take out the turret and then one or two tires, the AI typically bail out of the vehicle. So you can kill them, and the vehicle is essentially neutralized. And if you have a repairman and the vehicle's, you know, the mission editor didn't make the vehicle locked from player use, you could repair the vehicle and use it for yourself. So that you're not hopeless against MRAPs. It's definitely an option. It could take a lot of rounds. I think it's about 50. I just emptied the whole mag to make sure it worked, but I think it's about 50, 6.5 rounds, and then depending on the caliber, it's less and less the higher the caliber. And I don't think things under 5.56 ever have a chance of damaging. I don't think you could take it out with a pistol. But the 5.8s from the new Car 95, Type 95 Chinese rifle that's been added into the DLC, that can take it out too with enough rounds. So, you know, you're not hopeless when you go up against an MRAP and you don't have a grenade launcher or rocket launcher. This next one, I'm going to have to be really accurate to show it to you. But in older builds of the game, this wasn't necessarily true. But armor protection is only based on where the model actually covers the body. In the old days, if you wore a helmet, even if you shot someone in their exposed face, the armor would still protect or reduce the damage of the bullet, and you could survive a shot to the face, which is kind of bullshit. Once in a while, it can glitch out, and that happens in the game now, but it's not the norm anymore. There is actually care taken. So, see, anywhere on my body that's not covered by the vest or the helmet, it's like I'm wearing nothing. So you could kill them extremely easily. 1.556 round, unless it's in the arm or like lower leg, is going to kill them if you hit them in an unexposed area. But if you hit them in their helmet, or like, let's say they're wearing a crotch plate and you hit their crotch, it's going to deflect it around. Let's just see. So let's just say. So look, he survived a headshot. Though a second one will kill him. Now let's see if I can get it. I hit him in the face, he died in one shot. Because he's not protected. So let's just see some more. Say shoot this dude in the ass, let's see. Well, I shot his legs, but alright, 2 shots to the pelvis. Missed him again. 3 shots about to the pelvis. Now if I shoot him in this crotch plate, it should take less rounds. It should take more rounds. Okay. Alright, looks like the crotch plate does protect your ass. So it's not perfect. But let's just do it again with a non-crotch plate version of the body armor. So let's just do this. 1 shot. Alright, so the crotch plate isn't completely accurate, but As far as helmets, definitely. And shoulder pads. They are model specific. Of course, I have one fucking area that's glitchy, but hey, it's not perfect. If your armor extends down to the pelvis, the entire pelvis is covered. But the helmet, it's accurate. If the face is empty, if the face is unprotected, you'll kill them in one shot. So you got to be more careful with anything other than high-powered sniper rifles when you try and get a stealthy one-shot, one-kill. You want to hit him in the face or the back of the neck. So that's important. If you're shooting guys and I shot him in the head, I didn't die. The helmet actually does do something in this game. So that's worth noting. You have to shoot around the helmet and body armor in general. And also, if a guy's wearing normal body armor like the one ahead of me, it actually pays well to shoot lower than the normal center of mass. Basically try and blow his dick off, and you'll kill him quicker. This means also he's more armored when he lays down, because if he's facing you and laying down, there's no way he can hit his pelvis, unless you're really close to him. And this last one, a lot of players don't understand. Your personal medkits, the little yellow one-time use medkits, do not heal you 100%. They'll heal you up to 75%, and that's it. So let's say my guy's an emo fuck, and he hurt himself today to see if he still feels. And he's wounded. Now, I'm going to be wobblier. I'm going to sway more when I aim. And I'm going to get like some red. If it's low enough damage, I'll get like red pulsating at the edges of my screen. And all these other nasty limitations of being wounded, and also it'll take less damage to finish me off. If I heal myself, the red blood decals on my body usually disappear. Yeah, they're gone. But I'm not fully healed. I'm still going to have stamina go down more. My screen's, it's a very slight darkening and brightening on the edges of my screen, and I'm just going to be less stable while aiming, and all this shit. I'm going to move a little bit slower. And my stamina is going to go down a little bit quicker, I believe. I'm not sure on the stamina, but everything else I know for sure. So I go up to here. And I can heal myself fully right here. So if you ever noticed, hey, I heal myself, but then I get to a healing truck or one of these, or only medic players can use them, but those big black backpacks, a player with that on them can still tell you're wounded even though you healed yourself. That's not a glitch. It's just that your personal medkits do not heal you 100%. Alright then, that's all the tips I have for you today. Hopefully this will enhance your Arma 3 game, and you found out some things you didn't necessarily know. So I'll see you guys in the next video.